Hello there, From17 once again. This is my Furi walkthrough on Furi Difficulty, and this is the 4th stage. It is entitled The Scale. So fun fact, this is my least favourite boss in the game. I hate this fight. On my first playthrough on this difficulty, I beat him my first attempt. I continued a few times with those lives below my HP bar, but I never actually game overed on this boss, and I game overed on the last two. Because I was experimenting with things, but mostly because they were quite challenging and I wasn't, used to playing just yet. This guy didn't have an issue. Then I played on hard, and on hard, this particular creature is going to show you just how punishing this game can be if you do not know how to precisely judge the distance in your dash. And as I've mentioned, there's no visible way to tell how far you're going to dash. You have to learn it, and I have not mastered that area of this game yet, and I find it very difficult. So this boss is going to be a nightmare. But this one, not too bad. So we're up close after that first phase. All I did in the first phase is charge a dash, dodge the first attack, and then hit him with the stun attack. Just do the charge attack into stun, into critical. And then we were up close, and all I did was what you just saw then. A repeat of similar strategies in previous videos. This phase, he's going to shoot this projectile that spreads out. If you can hit him just as he fires it, you can catch him with a charge attack, and you can do the animation and do the big damage. One thing that's worth noting too that you might be curious, some of these bosses take a lot of damage from the gun, so oftentimes it might not be the best solution to just rely on these charge moves that I like doing. This is just my particular style is all, guys. This, right now, it's going to have alternating, spiraling, poisonous flare moves, and then when he comes out of it, he is vulnerable just at the end of that animation, but you've got to be quick. See what he does. He releases that on Wake Up. He goes for the close quarters. I missed the parry. Can't get the riposte. Here comes the attack. Dosh, not a word. Dash, and then punish. I was too slow, so it didn't work. There it was. Oh no, it missed. Shit. Oh, we're up close. Okay, parry, parry. He only did 2. So blocking in this game. The enemies have set combos. Certain enemies have more than one. Certain enemies will mix in physical hits with those telegraphed hits where you have to dash away from them. Once you learn those patterns and you memorize them, they will not change. You will have them for good, and all the timings are slightly different. Some people do fast patterns, other ones do fast, then slow, and other ones will just do slow but quite a lot. Once you get those timings and you know how many hits each phase does, these fights become way easier. At the moment, though, because I've just played through the game, you get really good at a boss and then you move on to another boss. Then you get really good at that boss, but you kind of forget what you learned in the previous one, so when you come back to it you're getting surprised again. And that's kind of what Furi does. You die a few times on a boss, you learn how to get to the phase that's killing you, you pass the phase, you've learnt the boss pretty well. Move on to the next one, same thing happens, but you lose what you learnt in a lot of ways if you're like me. So it's one of those things where repetition, of course, is going to drill those into us, but here is whatever this is. This is a move where you twiddle the analog. So quickly smack that analog, get out of the water. If you do it fast enough, he cannot damage you. Right now, he's going to attack from out of the water, so just block it and then immediately do a charge attack. Oh, we're up close now. Okay, so I charge my move. Here comes the 1. It was a perfect parry, that, so kind of didn't help, because I did less damage than I would have done if I'd have parried his attack, blocked his attacks and then just attacked normally. So 1. He only did 1, that's weird. So charge the weapon, here he comes, twiddle the analogs before he hurts you. And then back up. So what does he do? Telegraph. Oh, this is a shockwave, so back up, dodge through it, and then wait for him to come out of the water. So that's 1 hit, then 1 hit. I couldn't get the second hit though just then, so I ended up taking damage. The great news about this is, though, every time I block I get some of that life back. So just then, block the attack, unleash the charge attack, put the boss down. So here's the telegraph one, too slow to react to that for some reason. Here's the shockwave, dodge through it. Here's the 1, there it was, counter it. That's the end of this phase. Next phase. So what's he going to do? This escalates really quickly, this fight too. He's going to start splitting himself, and when he splits himself it gets real convoluted. So this one is just a directional hit, which we can dash and then charge attack through. So this phase, very simple. Wait for him to shoot, dash past it, and then hit him. Or right here is a good way of getting away from a move and then setting up a parry or setting up a block for a punish. You'll notice this boss does a 3-hit combo here. If you dash away from the first hit, you can let him do the 3 hits because the boss will continue those hits even though they didn't connect. Some games, bosses stop if they don't connect. This one, they don't. So it's a really good way of moving away from all the hits and then using the final hit to get what you need from the boss. This right now, of course, he's split up into multiples. If you move around the arena shooting the multiples, you will gradually kill them, and they'll go red and they'll stop firing projectiles, then charge an attack, and then attack this guy with the critical. Now we're up close. What does he have for us this time? So there's 1 hit, there's a perfect parry. That puts an end to that. Start charging your ultimate technique, or powering up your weapon. Here comes the 1, 2. That's the 1. So do you see that? What he does here is he does 1 attack out of the water, a 2nd attack really quickly, and then he does a telegraphed move that you have to get away from. You can't block it. This thing. And 2 times you've seen me fail now. Hopefully, that's a taunt. Punish the taunt. Don't let this bitch get any of that in. 1 hit, 2 hits, get out. Finally, Chris. That's how you punish him. If I'd have charged my sword up while he was on the ground, this phase would already be over. But instead, I'm not doing it. I'm just going to punish it the old-fashioned way. Once again, guys, if you see those patterns and you learn those timings, you will always have an answer for every situation. This is not a game where you can mash your way to victory. You have to learn the patterns. You have to appreciate when people are vulnerable, when they're not. If you don't, you're going to lose. And you might wonder, well, what's the penalty for dying in this game, or what do you lose when you do lose? This game has fantastic checkpoints when it comes to reloading. You can pause right now, go to restart, and it will restart in under 4 seconds. You're back in the game immediately. I could not be happier with that aspect of the game. Unfortunately, if you do die, it completely heals the boss on the phase that you're on, and it takes a life off you. And it shows a pre-canned animation of the boss attacking you, or picking you up, or mocking you, something along those lines, and then you go back to whatever the wave is that you died on. I can completely understand why they chose to do it that way, because of course they don't want you to just cheese the game with continues, because nobody wants to put all this effort into designing different animations, different attacks, different patterns, and then you just get a player who scrubs his way through it without ever learning them. They want you to learn, so that's why they do it. It's just this game has some difficulty spike attack patterns. They usually are the final attacks or some kind of crazy bullet pattern, because you're not really prepared for them, and when they happen and they get really complicated really quickly, it's easy to die. And if you do fail on that and you get killed, you have to go through all those other life bars to get back to the phase that killed you. And here is where practice mode fails for me, in my opinion, of course. You cannot practice individual waves, individual forms of a boss. You can only just pick a fight and go for it. You can't say, practice the final form, practice the final pattern, it seems. This could be my ignorance of the game's systems, and I haven't figured out how to do it because I've only had the game less than a day. But on the surface, it just doesn't seem like you're able to do that. Practice mode is awesome because it allows us to practice the bosses, but we don't have any real control over picking the moves that are kicking our asses, which is unfortunate, because look at this. This is way more intensive than those other patterns. This I would love to practice. You should see this on hard. It's way worse. Way worse. And this is when it gets really hard, because you have to dash through those waves, but if you hit the sides, you take damage, so you've got to be careful on your distance here. And this is all about mastery of the dodge, and I just, as I've mentioned, I don't have it yet. But I love this pattern because it reminds me of Larsa from Machinima Sama Futari. And in the credits for this game, they actually credit Treasure, so I'm assuming that a lot of features of the shmup elements in this are inspired by things like Radiant Silvergun or Ikaruga, which is cool, because, you know, I love those games. Well, I don't love Radiant, because I've never played it, but Ikaruga is my jam. Anyhow, that's the end of that boss, guys. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you're excited for this game, because it is really, really fun. I have no idea if these videos are going to do it justice, because this might be a game that's fun to play, but boring to watch. You'll have to tell me in the comments. But I'm having a lot of fun, and you will too. So July 5th, guys. Put it in your calendar.